Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Purpose Fridays with Sherry Watson, family, and friends. Derek Watson joining you guys once again. Glad to have you back with us. We have a very, very special Purpose Fridays for you today. Today, we are launching a new continuing series to highlight the relief and rebuilding efforts of communities devastated by severe weather, led by the Power of Purpose and our coalition of nonprofits in our Power Purpose family. We'll be discussing how our nonprofits are on the ground, are making a difference, and show you how you can get involved to help those in need. And to stay tuned for so much more on this very, very special series. So joining us once again to get things kicked off, the one, the only, Sherry Watson. Hi there. Happy Friday.
Hey, I love our Purpose Friday. It's happy hour with a purpose, you guys. So thanks for joining us. Today's going to be powerful. It's like those happy hours we go to just embrace and support our friends and see what we can do to be a part of bringing them to new heights. And that's what today's about in the next few series. So you guys come on forward with last week, we brought Camilla in and from Houston, leading a nonprofit and talking about the need in their own community. And what we know from this country, we're the most giving country. People want to help, people want to make a difference. And we know from our experience, my 30 years working in the disability field and working at the grassroots coalitions and building one nonprofit at a time, and then coming together to build that movement. So empowering and surrounding our folks in Houston, our folks in Florida. So throughout this series, we are taking this to a whole different level. Starting out with our coalition, and I've had people on Facebook go, well, what's a coalition? A coalition is starting with folks on the ground, boots on the ground, those from Texas, those that know what the need is. They live there. They let them rebuild and let's come together. So a lot of folks last week said, how can we help? How can we help? We're going to do these series and build. And after you hear from the Florida Coalition, which is our nonprofits that have come together, we've brought together. So you know the Power Purpose, our mission is to launch and empower at least 10,000 nonprofits. Phenomenal now to gather together the Texas nonprofits. And how do we support them? So we're going to launch a funding campaign. Stay tuned as we continue this series and build the need and how we can help. We're going to launch that funding. So Derek, it's such an honor, you guys, to see Richard and Corliss and Elizabeth, and I know Steve and Camilla. So we want to start out today introducing our groups one at a time and let them talk about their nonprofit, the name, their mission. And what we did this week, we met as a coalition. We had 20-something of the nonprofits on a call. And folks from New York, folks from California, folks all came together and talked about how to support. And it was amazing, you guys, on that call, Ginger from New York, and talking about a friend has a trucking company, Marianne in Chicago, a friend has a trucking company, Ginger in New York just sent the most beautiful grant proposal to set up a healing center, a wellness center in Houston to help folks start working through this. So just because you're not in this area doesn't mean you can't be part. We're going to have them lead the way. Remember, nothing about us without us. The people you're serving, the people you're working with, empowering them to lead the way. So Skip, I see you're with us on the phone. You're going to hear a lot about Positive Action Platform. So as we go through the next couple weeks, we want to start out by introducing So Corliss, I'm going to start with you, and all of us were together strategizing. We like to dream and scheme, and now it's the implementation time. So we dreamed and schemed and talked about what we're doing. So Corliss, share a little bit about your nonprofit, your mission, what you've been doing, partnering with other nonprofits, and what the needs are as we build the momentum to bring funds together.
Hi, can you hear me? Am I on this time? Yes, got it right this time.
Yay.
Hi, my name is Corliss Pims, and my nonprofit is Family Matters. And basically, it came from, it was born out of my own experiences. I had the privilege of being raised in a two-parent household with a very strong influence in both families, whereas my kids are products of divorce. And so I see the difference in how I look at things and how my children look at things. So basically, Family Matters is the mission of Family Matters is to strengthen America one family at a time, to let men know that they set the standard in their household, and to teach them how to be fathers, how to be husbands, and how to basically just be there. And it's not about your income, it's about your presence. And so Family Matters is, our purpose is to provide financial assistance, educational training, job training, mentorship, parenting skills, and basically focus on the children, because sometimes we know that the only way into a family is through the children. And so basically we have asked, we're partnering with this other place called Bethel's Place Heavenly Hands to get in on the ground level with the children in the preschool space, so that we can go in and provide that need in the preschool, which will allow us into the family, so that mothers who don't have high school educations can come in and get their GED, or fathers who basically need somebody, we hook them up with mentors for what they want. And we ask them what their need is. We teach vision, we teach goals, being goal-oriented, and those types of things. What we've done in the Houston space since Harvey is we started a GoFundMe page to raise money for school supplies, because in the Houston district, we have Houston is one of the largest school districts in the nation, and they have almost 50 schools that are in trouble. And most of these people that left home with the shirts on their backs and just whatever they could put together. So we have raised $2,000 and called one of the schools today and partnered with this elementary school that is basically devastated, and they don't start school until Monday, but they are looking at meals for the kids, uniforms for the kids, school supplies. I also contacted the mayor's office today and have a list of things that they're looking at and they need at this point as well, which is basically, I'm not sure what the situation is, but all of a sudden they're wanting all new clothing, no more slightly used clothing. So, but I did tell them that I was partnering with a group of nonprofit organizations that were looking to help rebuild Houston. And so in that vein, they were very forthcoming with information. And I also spoke with the people at the school to see what they needed and how things were going there. So I will actually meet with them next week and give them the gift card so that they can start to get the school supplies for the kids that start school on Monday.
You guys, now, do you see how powerful that is, that on the ground? One of the things we talked about during our meeting was giving ourselves to-do list. Well, one of the things was go out and connect, find out what the needs are. We've got FEMA, we've got American Red Cross. So at the federal level, it was amazing how they all work together, local, state, federal. I mean, folks from 30 years in FEMA would talk about they've never seen this kind of coordinated effort. So now for us to come in on the grassroots level, Corliss, bringing to us the other night talking about school supplies. Kids, they left with nothing. Schools got flooded. Who would have thought of that? So again, one of the homeworks for the Tadas for our group was to come forward with a wish list from the folks in the area, not what we think we need to keep giving rice and blankets and clean socks. What's happening in the community? So Corliss, that's so powerful what you said, and developing this platform that where we can bring funding into all of our nonprofits to go out and to start working with the families, Corliss, like your mission, like what you've been doing, working with those families, with the kids and what they've gone through right now. Amazing. So with that, you guys, love to introduce, is Steve with us right now?
Not yet.
Okay. I can't wait to introduce Richard. Richard, tell us a little bit about your nonprofit, your mission, and what we talked about the other night, some of the areas you could go out and help with in your nonprofit.
Okay. My name is Richard Dismuke. Our nonprofit is Jack's Purpose, named after our little 7-year-old boy, Jack. My wife's been type 1 diabetic since she was 11. And so we've had a lot of experience with type 1 diabetes, and we recently found out that Jack is type 1 diabetic. So, it took us back a little bit, but we had a lot of experience and went through the motions and the steps that you go through when your child is diagnosed. And it was, we were familiar with a lot of it, but after we went through it and, kids are resilient. So Jack's attitude was just great through the whole thing. But we realized there are a lot of families that are in that same position that have never been through that before. And just, I can imagine how big, scary deal it is. So we decided to put Jack's Purpose together to support these families. If they're newly diagnosed and they're just scared to death, we've been to several peer meetings around here with people that have type 1 diabetes or people that wear insulin pumps. And there's a whole group of people that are available to kind of take these families' hands and say, look, I know it's scary, but this is what we've been dealing with, and this is how we're doing it, and it'll be okay. So we want to work with newly diagnosed families. We want to work with families that may be underinsured, and help get them maybe some of the newer technology that's out there. And we want to kind of uptick the nutritional information out there. There's if we go out to eat, sometimes we go out and have some fun. A lot of times we have to count the carbs that go with that's supposed to match the insulin when we give Jack his insulin. And a lot of times that stuff's not available. So we just have to guess what it is. And it takes a little bit of time to do that, if we want to get it right. So we're going to try and work with a lot of places that serve food. Jack's school, for example, doesn't have any of that information. So we're working with them to try and get that documented. But just trying to put that awareness out. So when people are just out and about, they can just, live as, just have fun, just like everyone else, and be able to enjoy some of the good food out there and the treats and all that stuff. So anyway, so just putting a lot of that together is, so our mission really is to help families affected by type 1 diabetes. So with regard to down here, I know that I've talked to a couple of local places that are, if they're not providing shelter, they're providing donated goods to a lot of families that are affected. And so I had a big old list of what a lot of these folks need. A lot of it's kind of common sense, but on the healthcare side, insulin and supplies like that are definitely part of what they need. And so that's something that we would like to be able to provide. I know that a lot of the bigger areas down in the center of Houston, there's a big Red Cross presence. There's a presence of a lot of bigger nonprofits, but the smaller communities kind of on the outside probably need a little bit more help, more assistance with stuff like that. So that's what we'd hope to do, is be able to pull some of those resources together and get them to those folks at the local places in our communities here.
And Richard, that's what's so fantastic about bringing this group together from the Houston area, is your mission and what we've been working on with the nonprofit. You guys, these are our mastermind students, so we're really coming together and bringing the resources, meeting in person together, and then meeting every week on a webinar, and then going to nonprofit universities. So we've really been building. This has taken us a direction that we hadn't envisioned. But the foundation we build for our nonprofits, and we started out with Jack's Place, allows us now to take full purpose, to take this, give folks hope, lift them up through our nonprofit. And Richard, what was so amazing when we all got together and started rallying and bringing this forward was start thinking about, wow, all these families, their cars got flooded, they have no way to get transportation, their kids are diabetic, how do they get to the pharmacy? How do they get their insulin? They have no money, they have no employment right now. So again, the need, Richard and this group are taken forward. So that's where we started with Jack's Place, and now to expand it and grow it, and to be able to deliver the resources that are needed, not wanted, not something that are needed. And that's what really hit me Tuesday night when we all met, was for you guys to talk about your original mission and what you're seeing the needs are and how to expand that. And I got to tell you, Derek and our team, we're meeting with folks that are doing the big fundraisers and bringing in millions, and they want nonprofits on the ground now to be able to grant that money to. And Derek, you were just telling me last night at the football game, what you heard on the football game. You guys, this is important to share with every one of us, that we've got to work from the ground up. We've got to work from the grassroots. Everybody wants to make a difference. Everybody wants to help. You guys are the boots on the ground that can help direct us where we can. We met with the Congresswoman yesterday and starting the disaster relief effort that New Mexico is going to lead. And Marianne, you talked about your friend that has a trucking company, and Ginger, you brought forth the grant application. That's amazing. So not just being in Houston, but being able to bring those supports forward so they on the ground can rebuild. We saw that happen with Hurricane Katrina, the 9th Ward, where everything was from the top down, and it was a disaster. And finally the community came together and said, no, we're not letting them bulldoze down our community, and we're going to lead from the grassroots up. What they've done, their incubator propelled, their new community center with $30 million that's built, that every community is looking at it going, why aren't we doing that? And so you guys have the opportunity, with all of this country supporting, to bring you the funds to rebuild. So Derek, talk about even the football game last night.
Yeah, so this is just an example that we're talking about for these both relief and rebuilding efforts. So we were just happened to flip through the channels last night, saw the end of the game, Houston Texans against the Bengals. J.J. Watt had an interview after the game about the $34 or so million he's raised just in the last week, 10 days, pretty amazing. And now looking forward, though, about how they're looking for organizations on the ground, right, making a direct impact, and how they're going to start looking for organizations that are doing this and how to give it all away. And really just really great stuff about, just the minimal impact for the overhead and operational costs. Just get as much of that money as possible right into the community with a lot of these organizations. They even named a couple. So that's kind of the next process, is to really get started, is now to get the money to these organizations that are on the ground, that are doing a number of different things that help people in need. So you can couple that with many other fundraising efforts and drives that raise a lot of money, that will now look at getting that money to people and organizations on the ground that can make a difference quickly.
So you guys look at that, look at what you guys are leading with the Power Purpose, with all of you coming together at the coalition. people like J.J. Watts, they just did that big celebrity fundraiser and I think raised 40-some million. We have a perfect opportunity and responsibility to now be geared up and ready to access that funding for you guys to rebuild your community. And it's such an honor to bring Elizabeth on. Elizabeth, you have such a beautiful wisdom and a connection coming from being a mayor. When we were working with the Ninth Ward and that $15 billion that Congress is allocating, it's our responsibility to make sure that money comes to the local level. And so we worked with CDBG, disaster relief, and you know what that is. You guys that haven't been with us, Community Development Block Grant. So as this disaster relief money is coming forward, we're out there connecting, meeting with the mayor, meeting with city councilors, meeting with the county commissioners, meeting with American Cross and FEMA. Let's together figure out how the money comes where it's needed, because I've been a part of the recent funding where it started from the top up and never got to the people. And that was the foreclosure tsunami. That was the HERA bill. That we were at the height. We had real estate investors that had nonprofits that could really bring in home modifications and forbearances and help people stay in their homes. Fannie and Freddie and 18 bank presidents, they all knew it was happening. They called us in. They set up a $400 billion bill called HERA. And that was to go to all the folks and help in foreclosure. What happened from the federal level went to the state to agencies that never requested that money for foreclosure, for real estate. They hired 29 people to oversee the funding. It was a bureaucratical mess. And that's why I'm so adamant about bringing that information, that wisdom, that going down that road before. I've seen it both ways. It's so important to get the money on the ground. So Elizabeth, such an honor to have you and the nonprofit you're building and things you're doing in Marlin, amazing, and helping guide this coalition to who we connect with, how that $15 billion comes in the community, how we can be part of the solution in the rebuilding.
When you're talking about connecting, am I on? Can you hear me?
You look
Okay.
great. You look great.
Oh, okay. When you're talking about connecting, we can all know different people in high places. But I will tell you guys, I think one of the best connections that I've ever made, and the people that work with me here in Marlin, has been the time that we went to New Mexico to the conference there and met Sherry and Derek and her team. That is probably the best connection that we've ever made, and it's really an honor to be working with you and with all of the other people that are part of the Power with Purpose deal. So I'll just tell you a little bit about our nonprofit, because we're not unfamiliar with the, or at least Marlin is not unfamiliar with hurricanes. We housed evacuees during Katrina, and we housed evacuees during Ike. So we know a little bit about all of that. Our nonprofit is called Operation Relaunch, and we acquired a 8-acre site that was once a Veterans Administration hospital. It is a huge complex. The main building has over 175,000 square feet. There are ancillary buildings that we're going to use to house veterans in. And our program, just very, very simply and very basically, is to help veterans transition out of the military and into civilian life so that they can have a life of dignity and a life of purpose. That would include housing, meals, education, giving them job training. We're partnering with 2 of the colleges in Waco that are ready for help them train and get into a new career, job placement when they finish that. And the part that was really missing was the part of the mental health deal. And we do have mental health and mental retardation as part of our partners. But we're working now, thanks to having met some people or met an important person at the conference, Mike Bruja. We're doing talking with them now about bringing in that missing part, that part on that mental health with one of his partners, and these people know what they're doing. This is really so remarkable. Last night on the webinar, when Rogers was talking about, it's not who necessarily who you know, but you need to be associating with people who will take you somewhere. The people who are what's the word I want to use? Anyway, the people who can lead you somewhere. You get nowhere being with negative people. So that is a great connection to do that. So that basically is what our purpose is. We have only had our 501(c) since July. So we're working and struggling and trying to raise money, but our plans on the rehabbing of the building changed when Harvey showed up. And because of the devastation they did in Houston and on the coastal area, and the many, many, many people there and in Louisiana that are homeless, they're without any kinds of, they lost everything that they had. We've changed our purpose, and we're looking at redoing the main building or bringing it up to code, so FEMA will allow those people to be housed there. And it's a beautiful building, and it's perfect for that. It's kind of like staying in a hotel. So that's where we are right now. And you are correct. It's Katrina was a disaster as far as management. They seem to be trying to do better with that at this point in time. The emergency manager person for Falls County is right with us. He's working with us. The regional management people for FEMA are with us. They're working with us. We're just waiting to hear what FEMA themselves wants to do. So, but again, Sherry and Derek, I want to tell you that we are just so excited about being a part of this and helping all of our fellow nonprofits, and in the process, we will progress and do what we need to do to help veterans and help their families.
That's awesome. And you guys, I want you to see, because 30 years, man, our nonprofits, we all work together from way different areas and helped each other. And what Elizabeth just said, she's not in the Houston area, but this huge hospital we're working on putting together, getting the funding for, to have that as a place for folks to relocate in a transition, to partner with FEMA, to be able to work with Richard and Steve and Corliss and Camilla and say, okay, our nonprofit's ready. The people you meet that need house, we got a place ready. So I see Rose on here from California with the can-do spirit. I see Pete from Florida. All of our nonprofits, this was our vision. And that we knew, bringing us all together, we could really rebuild this country. Not just devastation areas, but as we showed this country how to bring folks together and help rebuild at the grassroots level, we start rebuilding the broken system for youth. We start building no more detention centers and warehousing these kids and turn them into criminals, supporting nonprofits to rebuild the community where they become entrepreneurs and are future leaders, to change and build that community with veterans, where we're not seeing 22 suicides a day. We're not seeing the homelessness. We actually have a nonprofit that they're empowered And they're leading the way in the rebuilding. We're changing that paradigm of the way this country spends money. So this is a start of something so big. And having that platform, the positive action platform, we're not thinking small, not a few $1,000s. Our first budget, when we were asked by some of the leaders with the Trump administration, $20 million. $20 million. Let's get started on this. And so bringing that together with the funding to grant out to each one of you. And Steve, I can't wait to introduce you. Steve has been, talk about a deep purpose. Steve came and him and I had our first conversation. His purpose is deep. His purpose is honoring his daughter. And when Steve came on the other night and we talked about what's going on locally in Houston, what are people facing, how can we help? And I watched Derek and Erica lead a disaster relief that's one of the most successful I've seen, because it wasn't just taking a bunch of stuff and helping, because we're great people, we're a great country, we want to do that. But when hurricane hit Moore, Oklahoma, and devastated and killed all the children, and he partnered with his friend on the ground who's a firefighter. And he said, we don't need clothes. We don't need this. We need this, this, and this. And Derek and Erica started a disaster relief in New Mexico. They entered up several truckloads, caravan, and took exactly what the people needed and even knew where to drop it off. Okay, take this to the library, take this over. So that's what we're creating on a large scale. What's going on in the local community. And Steve shared with us something, Steve, that everyone's been talking about, is your assistant coach when she saw the lady on the sidewalk crying. I mean, so for something we just take for granted. So Steve, so happy that you're with us. I'm so happy that you're living on purpose. It's hard, it's emotional, and it's okay. This is emotional, thinking about how hard people are, how people have lost everything. And so, Steve, I'd love for you to share a little bit about your nonprofit, what you're about, and then share that story with everyone to show where we're taking this.
Okay, did I finally get connected?
Yep, you look great, and you look awesome.
Y'all can hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. Well, you know, I'll tell you, I was talking with Brandon. August the 12th was Catherine's birthday. A couple of weeks leading up to it and the several weeks after, I really think for the first time in my life, I was really in a state of depression. I couldn't get out of bed, stayed in bed. And it's the first time I've ever really experienced that.
And tell everybody a little bit about Catherine.
Well,
Don't know.
So Catherine was a deputy sheriff. She was 21. She was killed in January of 2015. And so I was talking to Brandon, and Sherry has gone through the experience of losing her mom and stuff. And I didn't want to bug anyone. I didn't, I didn't know what to do. Need to get a job, this or that. And so I was talking to Brandon, he encouraged me, and I got the email from Natty and everything. Would I be on the call about the hurricane? And I thought, whether I want to or not, I need to do this. I got on. I couldn't sit when I was listening to what Sherry wanted to do. And I have, my purpose, when Catherine died, we were treated so special by the sheriff's office and just by the community. We went to the funeral home. They donated Catherine's plot before we even told them we were going to go ahead and buy another 2. The stories are endless, and of just people expressing their condolences to us. So the 2010-17 was really pretty much giving back to the sheriff's office, and just my vision was really small. What I really remember from the phone call the other day, and if you'll let me talk, I got some amazing things to tell you because a lot has happened since we had the call the other day. The one thing I remember Sherry saying is, don't think small. Don't think small. And the vision for 2-Paul-10-17 has totally changed. Catherine, when she graduated from high school, the school they graduated from, they had to give a oral thesis before, everybody. And the name of her thesis was, I'm on here, is to care, or to share is to love, or something like that. I've got it here. I'm getting disorganized now. And basically what she was talking about, the church and Christians in general and people really in general have really kind of dropped the ball in taking care of the needs of other people. And it's not the government's responsibility, it's our responsibility. To serve is to love. There you go. Well, I'm not trying to think of it. To serve is to love. And how that's what she wanted to do with her life. And she didn't want to have to wait on government. I mean, she became a deputy, but, it's our responsibility, not the government's responsibility, because, and I've experienced a lot of that being out seeing people. She also had to give a essay answer on why she wanted to become a deputy. And I couldn't find it. I was looking for it. I had Amy, my assistant, because I couldn't watch it. One of the instructors at the academy read her essay at the funeral. And I won't read the whole thing. It's real short, but she said, I want a career where I can help people and make a difference. That's how it started. Then she said, I want to be someone who is looked to in a crisis. And then she said, I want to help as many people as possible. And that has become the new focus on 2-Paul-10-17. Wow. So since the phone call the other day, and I'll probably skip around here. I actually had some pictures, and I thought I was going to be able to put these up because I have some pictures of outside. I went out and I got pictures inside of houses today. You see how people are living in gutted houses. What you don't see, or what you can't smell, is the odor that they have to live in. Amy had to go to urgent care last night because she had bronchitis, and it's all from that. They had to put her on IVs and everything. There's an elderly couple that I met who they can't get. I don't understand why no one's helped them clean their house out. I'm going to get someone over there to help them clean out their house. As I'm leaving out of the neighborhood, there's a lady shoveling up food from her freezer, and you talk about a smell, because that's been there for 3 weeks now. And she's shoveling it, trying to put it there. I said, do you need any help right now? And she said, no, there's a group in there. There's still people, though, even though most of that area's kind of been picked up, there's still people who haven't even had that picked up. I've talked to the mayor. She's told me some of the things they need. They're thinking that that whole neighborhood may be bought out, but if they do accept a buyout, it's voluntary. If they choose not to do the buyout, they stay there, but they can't get flood insurance again. And one street is in the floodway, not the floodplain, but the floodway. So I met with the chief of staff of our district judge, of our county judge, is a good friend of mine. Their house flooded as well. Met with him and his wife yesterday. They have, they're pointing me in the right directions of people who need help and what we can do. I talked with the sheriff's office, and there were 39 deputies who, employees of the sheriff's office, who experienced some type of damage and flood. Some of them have insurance, but some of them don't. So I don't totally have the budget. I have some items, but really there's not a loss. It's been reported there's 100,000 homes in the area. I have some video. The mayor just broke down in tears in my arms, and she said, "I'm just so tired." She was admitted to the hospital the night they were going to have a council meeting, and she's a little bit older, but she just broke down. She said, "I'm just so tired." She just goes nonstop. She's kind of running the city out of her home that's flooded, and she was going to a cardiologist this morning. After I stopped by to see her, because they have looting going on over there, and they have a deputy out there, but he'll be gone on Sunday. They have deputies who stay from 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. And that's another item that if we can get funds to pay for the deputies to be out there, because a lot of people, some people leave. Amy and the mayor actually tried to leave. The hotels wouldn't accept the FEMA grant or the coupon to let them stay there. Some people are renting trailers and put them out there. One of the things the mayor said, if we could pay their water bill for the next 3 months, that's something that they wouldn't have to worry about, any of the utilities. And that's when she started crying. She said, just everyone's lost everything. And there's about 4 neighborhoods that I've dealt with just in this short time. And I'm trying or have made contact with people, and really, I wouldn't have a problem trying to give away money and helping people, because the list is endless on what they need. And what a lot of them will say, well, no, we're fine. This lady, she's old enough to be my mom, I think. She's out there shoveling the food. And if I was trying to get back over here for the phone call, I wanted to get out and help her. She didn't even have a mask on. And I said, do you mind if I take your picture? Because I want to get these pictures up, because the pictures show it a lot better than I do. One of the houses, I said, well, I'm just going to take this like I'm taking a tour of the house. And out on by the front door of their home is a stack of pictures. And I remember my mom, we had a room flood one time or something. She lost a bunch of pictures. And to this day, she still talks about how she hated losing those pictures of when we were all young. And it's just a stack of pictures that have been damaged in the flood. And I took a picture of that, but they just kind of stacked up there because there's, what are they going to do with them now? They're ruined. But Amy's fortunate, or maybe she is, maybe she isn't. The people who live in 2-story homes are pretty much staying there. They live on the 2nd floor, but the whole downstairs is gutted. But it smells terrible, and I think her smells pretty good. She said, well, I don't even smell it anymore. They've gotten so used to it. 1-story homes, they're completely gutted. Some people are living in them, and some people aren't. They've got some place to stay, or they're able to afford some place to stay. But there's an endless number of people that we could help that need help right away. And I don't know if I've understood everything right. My understanding is that hopefully we're going to have funds and we're able to deal with them directly and supply help to them, almost immediately, and find out what they need. And like I said, I've got a list that just grows and grows and grows. I've stopped by the police office here where I live and talked with one of the officers I know, and he has a good friend he knows from church that takes care of homeless people, and they're needing help. Which I said, well, I really want to talk to him, because there's a possibility of helping him if we get any kind of housing donations or whatever in his ministry and what he's doing. I haven't met him. I'm just looking through my notes here. I don't know if you need anything else, but the need here, the one guy that I video, he said, this is going to, he's experienced it before. He said, this will go on and on and on for years. I don't know if it'll go on that long, but they don't know when they're going to get help. And some of them are, if they're not elderly, they have children or they have babies. The people across from Amy's house, they just moved in. They lost their cars. They lost everything. The guy who's the chief of staff for the county judge, there's a lady who just lost her husband. He died just a couple of months ago, and she didn't have flood insurance and doesn't know what to do. And she's someone else that I know that we could help. So like I said, what I was hoping more than anything is I'd be able to show you the pictures and maybe see the video of the people that we can immediately help and have the immediate impact on helping them improve improve their situation.
That's what this is about, Steve. Man, talk about urgency. Listen, Steve got off the call, and the next email I see, he's going to go be meet with the mayor. He's out there finding out. I mean, they're right in the middle of it. I want you guys to see how urgent we must demand that money comes to the local area. People are devastated. Vouchers wanting to be used at hotels. People are going to the ER because of their breathing. Getting like the J.J. Watts, the celebrity fundraiser, the $15 billion, getting $1 million to Steve right now to set up a program to do utility bills for 3 months and get those going right now, you know, and create employment. You guys, with the funding we are determined to get into your hands, you can go employ 20 people. You know, you could employ more sheriffs to be on standby. You could employ a team of outreach coordinators to go house to house and start finding the needs. So not only is it about rebuilding, it's about giving people an economic opportunity to take employment and go rebuild their community just like you. So
I was thinking today, and I was asking my wife, how much will we charge? How much, you know, should I pay an assistant? And I said, I don't want just a minimum, because I've got several things. There's so much more I could be doing if I just had another assistant. Amy's my swim coach assistant, but I need another assistant who could be handling stuff that I can't do. It needs to be done. The writing of the budget, website things, just a variety of stuff that they could be doing, making phone calls for me, following up. If I could have just texted, because I told these people, I said, well, it'll be 3 or 4 hours before I can get to it. But if I had an assistant or someone, and that's what I thought, I want to hire someone where I can just text them and say, you need to call such and such, because when I'm out there, I've met, like I said the other night, there was a church from Tyler, Texas, who came down here. And I said, well, who's in charge here? And they said, oh, well, we're not. We just came down here from Tyler, and we're helping out. But they gave me the church that they're working with. And so I have that contact. If I had an assistant, I would have said, you need to call them and get these people over their house. Because this one house, I really felt sorry for these people. They still have sheetrock up on their walls. And, you know, the first thing they're told is you've got to get that out of there. The mayor's house, I think she spilt a bottle of bleach in there. The bleach will almost knock you out. But you've got to constantly spray that stuff to keep it disinfected. Again, like I said, there's just so much, but you're talking about employing someone. I was thinking that I need an assistant because I could be getting so much more stuff done because I can't do it all myself. And so I just wanted to say amen there, Sherry.
Oh, man. Amen. Well, one of the things, you guys, we're going to do together as a group, we'll keep meeting and we'll put together our budgets. Remember, the nonprofit corporation is a business. We don't do bake sale charities. So we're going to put together that budget to bring in 20 people, to bring in administrative assistant, outreach coordinator, a disaster relief team, to bring in when we hear our friend that's a real estate investor, one of the biggest in the country, there in Houston, and 100,000 homes are flooded. That's homes, that's families, that's communities. And 80% of them do not have flood insurance. We better get a rehab team together. We better get a waste removal team together. So all of you, when I say think big, Steve, not just that an assistant to help you. Now you're out there connecting. Think about the different teams of people you need to bring in for removal, for removing the drywall, for cleaning, for the utility assistance, for all those things. And let's employ people in Houston. Let's contact JJ. Let's contact that celebrity fundraiser. Working with Elizabeth, the mayor, Steve, going out and make sure that money comes from the federal level to the local, and then you guys access it. And we've got Skip with us. Skip and Derek are building the online platform that's going to launch this big. Skip, we have access to Governor Huckabee and opening up that chain of conversation, communication with the Trump administration to find out how do we navigate that $15 billion and work from the ground level. So when I say think big, we're talking millions of dollars to your nonprofits, and we're going to create that budget just like any other business. We're going to have so much transparency. You're going to be able, anybody can come and look at what we're doing with the funding and be so impressed and proud to be part of it. So we're building our business. So Steve, you need 50 people right now to do all the different projects. Richard, think about all the people that need to be going out and canvassing the medical needs and going to the children's hospital and that. Corliss, working with the schools, working with families. There's going to be a lot of healing that needs to go on. When these kids have experienced losing everything, like Steve, you said about even the pictures. When I talked to Tim in the very beginning, and he talks about what hurt so much was kind of walking outside and every house just being piled up with rubble of pictures and baby blankets and cribs, and we're talking, and to remove that hasn't even been done a lot in some places. So the need is so great. We are going to put the funding together to give you guys funding that, Steve, you go out and you get that sheriff's department and on standby and the ones that are looting. We're going to stop that. Corliss, Richard, Camilla, I know you're with this too, and bringing the business community together, helping keep folks connected that are entrepreneurs that have lost everything, that don't have even the resources to run their businesses. Those folks, Camilla, you talked about that work in corporate America, that their cars are flooded and they can't even get to work right now. This is huge. And that's why that $15 billion, the $35 million with JJ, the $45 million with the celebrities, we have to take it on as a responsibility to get that money to our nonprofits, with the things that Steve and all of you are talking about, what's going on right now. So who else there? Camilla.
Well, just real quick before we'll check back in with Camilla next. But Steve, we're running a little short on time this time, but I would love for you to compile all those pictures that you've taken, possibly even more if you're out and about this week. Anyone else that's also in the area that's surveying the damage and relief efforts, and we would love to get that possibly in a slideshow format to show people what you're seeing out there, and really
I'll have it done by the weekend.
Let's get those images out. This was something we did in previous relief efforts where we had, pictures live on the ground from people that I knew that were responders and so on, and just getting that imagery out there that was very compelling. And showcasing people how they can help, what the need is, what the extent of the damage is.
I said I'd have it by the end of the weekend. Do you need it sooner than that?
No, just let's look at having all.
I kind of have it together now. I've got a couple of videos. I've got 2 or 3 dozen pictures that I can put together, and I can get even more. But if you need something right away, if you need it today, this afternoon, if y'all need something, I can get that to you. As soon as I get off the phone call.
Well, yeah. Let's look at by next week. Next week, so we'll reconvene next week, and anybody else has something like that, let's really spend some time really getting the imagery out there and showing people the extent of all the devastation and damage out there. In addition to that, we just had Richard out there write in from a real estate investor friend of his who's been surveying the damage with the stats, and we have 30 to 40,000 homes destroyed, nearly 200,000 homes damaged, over 100,000 apartments damaged. So that's just those stats as snapshot right now in the area, just to give you an idea.
And you guys, Skip is part of the internal team with the Power of Purpose, helping build this. You guys met him at the Mastermind. He did an amazing video, put everything together. Skip's, we've set up his nonprofit, Amplifying Truth. So he's coming in to coordinate, him and Derek working on the platform that'll keep this in front of people, keep this out to people, keep the needs out there. And I noticed Skip just wrote in pictures and videos, and put that all in caps. Anything you guys, this is a series. We're gonna, I hear like I'm echoing. This is a series, and we're going to keep the momentum going on this. So bring that to us. Marianne, you can show that to your friends in the trucking. Ginger, we'll put this together. Rose, working with the veterans. So all of us together supporting, and then we'll bringing in the Florida Coalition to start going through that next. And Corliss brings up, look what Corliss says, property taxes for Harris County are going to increase for a year, adding insult to injury. Can we do something? Again, that's another piece of your nonprofit. Whoever, as we meet together and kind of define who's going to be doing what, so we're not duplicating and where the needs are, one of your nonprofits can lead in setting up a fund to help pay property taxes. And we can put together a program, give it out a client assessment form, they fill it out, they show the need, and those funds that everybody's raised, we're talking $16 billion by now, part of that funding can go to help people pay property taxes. So yes, Corliss, those are exactly everything from Steve, the story you shared with us, about seeing the lady on the sidewalk crying when your assistant saw it, and just something as basic as she didn't have a stroller to take her kids for a walk, to try to bring some kind of life to the kids, that had been thrown away. That had been ruined. So the things take for granted.
I just got a text from Amy, and so some of them have been told that they will they'll get a forbearance on their mortgage payment. They can wait maybe 2 months or whatever. And that's one of the things I thought is we could help them with their mortgage, their insurance. Well, she just sent me a text because when she woke up this morning, she said they took her mortgage out and she wasn't expecting it. So she said, now I learned if I do a forbearance of my mortgage for 3 months, I owe all 3 months on the 4th month. So on January the 1st, she will owe October, November, December, and January mortgage on January the 1st.
Wow.
So it like I said, I use Amy because, you know, she and I are in communication. But she's not the only one that's happening to.
Oh man.
Yeah, we know that. We know with the feds, when they declare a disaster area as part of that law with FEMA, that homeowners are eligible in a federal disaster area that's declared with a mortgage forbearance. Right. Also, in some instances with auto loans as well, vehicle loans.
She said that too about her auto loan too.
Yeah.
You know what, you guys, that's good for 3 months, but with no employment and flooded and damaged, and the 4th month you have to pay 4 times the amount. That makes no sense. How are people going to do that? And so, yeah, it sounds great. The forbearance, we're going to help.
She was happy till she got that off the phone there with them.
Yeah, and that's where we as nonprofits come in, do what should have been done through neighborhood stabilization, and bring in some mortgage relief. Work with the banks, work with Freddie and Fannie, work with Treasury. We've got to be strong, and now we tell the government, because we are the government, we the people, what needs to be done. We aren't going to settle for that 3-month forbearance when the 4th month you pay all 4 months at once. We're not going to settle for that. That's not going to work. That's our money. That's our tax dollars. We're going to change that. That's how we make the change. That's in disability, you guys. We were in warehouses, institutions, and nursing homes only. If we would have sat around and waited for them to take care of us, it never would have happened. We now need to gather our coalition and meet with the Trump administration, meet with the Department of Treasury, meet with Freddie and Fannie and say, this is what's happening. It sounds great, 3-month forbearance. This isn't helping the people. And we all have to come together as a country to make this right. And we change whatever regulation, policy, whatever the banking industry is doing, we change that so that we empower the folks and bring back their lives. So Steve, what you're doing is exactly what's gonna put faces to what's going on. You know, the first week it was all over the news, CNN, Fox, ABC, CBS, didn't matter. You saw the devastation. Now you don't see anything. We have to keep faces to this, and we have to demand that that money comes to Steve and Elizabeth and Corliss and Richard and Camilla and our nonprofits on the ground that can go out and make a difference.
That's what I told them. I asked them, you know, could I get a statement or your video? I said, well, why would you want to do that? I said, because they need to see a face with this. You know, they need a story. They can't just hear they're flooded out. And they can tell it much more vivid, and you can see the pain and what they're going through. And this one gentleman is just sitting in his garage because he's really limited in his movement. And there's nothing they can do but just sit there.
So we can, you guys, we can make a difference. We can work with that gentleman, bring a crew in to help with the getting everything out, starting the rehab. We can do that, and we are going to do that. And it's you guys that are going to keep that momentum going, and we are going to bring funding to the nonprofits. And Elizabeth, you and I, we can join hand in hand, and you talk from being the mayor. I mean, you bring in your mayor connection. We're looking at CDBG funding, and then we get the word out to Corliss and Camilla and Steve and Richard and Sarah and all of them. We get the word out to them, okay, here's how we can apply. You know, listening to Governor Huckabee the other day, something really impacted me, because working with Hurricane Katrina, seen it come from top down and didn't work. When the community took hold and said, no way, we're doing it. Beautiful. Looking at the neighborhood stabilization program, foreclosure tsunami, did not work. We have a bunch more government employees, but it didn't go to the people. And so how do we make sure this money goes to the people where it needs? And when Governor Huckabee, over and over, I heard him say, when they'd ask, what would you tell this administration? What kind of guidance would you give from everything you've been through for this administration to really rebuild? And he said, it's about people, not paperwork. He said, when you have that person in the mayor's office overlooking CDBG funding and going, oh, you haven't met this criteria, you don't, in the section 202, and he said, throw it away. It's not about that. It's about getting the people empowered and them creating jobs to go in and do what needs to be done. So Elizabeth, we've got to help navigate where that $15 billion is going. And then together, we will fill out the grant applications, whatever they need together. We'll make sure. And then we also have the we have the opportunity, and we're going to take it, for the funding that like JJ and the celebrities, all them are doing, to come together as a coalition, rebuild Houston, and say, we want to apply for the funding because we have troops on the ground. You know, I always think about President Bush when we did the Faith-Based Initiative, and he talked about the army of compassion. And we are the soldiers, and we are the voice for the voiceless. So it's really serious, the responsibility that we have in front of us to carry this forward. So is there anyone else, Derek?
Yes, we should, to wrap up our series for today, we would love to bring on Camilla and have her check in, just kind of update how she's doing, what's happening on the ground in her area. So hi, Camilla, we see you. How are you? How are you doing?
Hi, so just to wrap it up, I know we're almost at 3 o'clock already. We have done a lot of work since our last call, that everything's just moving very quickly and there's so much need out there. And I just want to say again, for when we have our call again next week and for our fundraiser, it's so important for people to understand that the speed with which the funding comes really determines everything. Just prevention is so much more important than curing a big disaster later on. You hear it in the medical profession all the time. If only you were here 6 months earlier, right? We could have done something. And that's what I'm seeing every single place. I have people that they haven't been paid in 4 weeks. And if I could just hand them the $2,000 right now, they're not going to miss the mortgage. They're not going to go into foreclosure, right? Like if you don't have 2,000 today, and now you don't have 4,000 in November, you will just never be able to dig yourself out of that hole, because when you don't move quickly, it just all kind of slips away. I have moms that haven't been paid, so now they can't afford childcare. I have business owners that can't meet payroll, so they have to decide to let people go. And it's all small, tiny amounts right now. Sherry, and that's why I'm so grateful that you guys are doing all the work out there, because people in other areas, they haven't been through a disaster, they do have income, they are able to contribute, and we can use that fund right now because we know where it needs to go. The difficulty with giving it to the federal government is that it'll take them 7 months to go through the paperwork and decide. And at that point, my mom is already on food stamps in the shelter, and now she needs $100,000.
Yeah.
Right? But if you can give her $2,000 right now, so she can just go back to work and kind of slowly get going, we can prevent all of that heartache, and we don't need billions of dollars. Yeah. Because in 2018, it'll be billions. Right now, it's millions. And so that's something that I feel is like the most important thing that we have to get across to people. Don't wait for it to be perfect. Don't wait for FEMA to get organized with papers. Because if I can rip up the drywall today, then we can save the house. If it's going to stay there for another 5 months, and newsflash, just like Steve said, the 80-year-old grandma across the street is not going to be ripping up the drywall. And now, you need a new house if you haven't done it very quickly. And so those are the things that I don't know that people understand, but I feel we should really just get across to them. That $1,000 they donate right now is saving somebody's life. And next year, $100,000 will not help that person, because they already lost everything. They lost their job, they lost their marriage, they lost their car. Their credit is ruined, which means it'll be 10 years before they can buy another house. So there's all the secondary consequences as well to, not just being on the ground right now, because we're here, we already know where the money needs to go. Yeah. We don't need help from Washington, D.C. taking a year, to divide it by blocks, right? And they make little squares and they decide which town is going to get what. Well, at that point, we're already all at Motel 6, and Bank of America owns everything, right? Wow. So that's my contribution to this call right now. I think we just need the funds very, very quickly so we can prevent people from really losing everything.
I love it, Camilla. The urgency, you guys, we've got, and Ruth, I love what you're saying. Give us a story a week. And what I was going to share with all of you guys, Steve, Camilla, Richard, Corliss, all you guys, is do some videos, pictures, videos, and send them to Derek and Skip, and I'll send you their email addresses. And then they can start putting them on social media, on our Facebook page, we're going to keep it in front of people, and then we'll put it on our Positive Action platform. So picture anything you can do. And Duncan, you're saying, let's not forget the Caribbean. That's why we're saying this is a series. We want to highlight Houston first, rebuild Houston. And then we're going to do Rebuild Florida. And then we'll do Rebuild Caribbean. And then we'll do Rebuild Key West in Florida. And, you know, we'll just keep doing these series. And it won't be long. So stay tuned, everyone. Real shortly, we're going to be launching the most powerful funding platform that the rest of this country can be a part of. And they're going to know every week where that money's going, because we're going to be meeting with Steve. We're going to be meeting with Corliss, Richard, Camille. We're going to be meeting with Pete. We're going to be meeting with Lisa in Florida. You're going to see now on the ground what all of these nonprofits are doing with the funds that were being brought together. So it's not only the $15 billion and JJ and celebrity fundraisers. We're launching in a couple weeks. Stay tuned. As we do these series, as we build that momentum and the platform that we bring to Governor Huckabee, and we bring our influencers in, every one of you need to be doing the same. Start creating a list of influencers, of mentors in your life, of the people that want to help. Everybody wants to be a part of it. Start putting that list together, and we're going to put together, invite them to Purpose Friday in a couple of weeks. We'll let you guys know. And we'll launch our big crowdfunding campaign with the funding. Camilla, Steve, you guys, it's going to come to you right away. So we'll set up that pipeline through ours and then the other ones.
Yes. So we're going to continue all of our series. And again, go more in depth just with our stories. You just detailed accounts of what's happening on the ground, where the biggest needs are. And again, I hope all of you also know, we just mentioned with, you know, on the federal agency side, the rebuilding side, and we've done a number of these disaster relief efforts. You know, it's a long-term process. So between this, Florida, other extensive damage beyond that, and the Caribbean, et cetera, this will be, you know, we'll be in this for the long haul. And we have nonprofits all over the place here that are now really participating in a big way, and that we can also coordinate efforts to help support them. So please continue to join us on this series. Somebody mentioned before about getting the word on social media. Also, we talk about our positive action platform, which we first brought up at our first Mastermind gathering just a couple months ago, that is now going live with this in part. So we're going to be getting so much more information, all of you that are in attendance and watching. And yes, absolutely, please stay tuned, because here is how we can show you directly how to get involved, how to help, how to support organizations on the ground, how to get word out online, how to spread awareness through social media. So please continue to join us. Get this out there. Share this. If you've registered for this, share the invitations with others, with friends, with families, with colleagues. We're all in this together in a big coalition for this rebuilding effort. So please, 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 and continue to join us. And we thank all of you that are on now. And this is really what we're all about here at the Power Purpose, and with all of our nonprofits.
Eric, can I ask you one quick question?
Sure, go ahead.
So I'm noticing up here in the corner it says it's recording live on Facebook. So are people watching on Facebook that aren't really a part of this call?
Yes, that's correct. So we have those that are registered, and we also stream simultaneously on Facebook.
So I could tell other people they don't need to be on this call, but just give them the link.
Yes, absolutely. They just go to the Power Purpose page and like the page. They'll get notifications when we go live on Fridays. And I'm thinking also, again, as this really develops with other opportunities to go live, we're looking at also scheduling a trip out there to assess and bring things out. We're talking about raising some large donations, et cetera, even more so beyond even once a week, about check-ins.
That's how we want to invite people to be a part of this, is really just through the Facebook, not through the link that we went through today.
Yes, and they can do both. If they're registered, great. If they can watch it on Facebook, great. If also they're not at their computer, but they are following us on Facebook, and they have their smartphone device, right? They can just simply tap into that and watch it live from their mobile device or even their iPad or tablet. So absolutely, the best way and then all of you that are attending as well is a great way to help spread awareness is share our Facebook, share our videos of all of our nonprofits and across the country and what they're doing. That's how we can really generate support. And that's also the big key with Skip here with us on the Positive Action platform. It's all about having an online gateway to spread awareness to those difference makers on the ground, and how to help support, how to get involved, how to help raise awareness yourselves. Even just by sharing this message and sharing this series is a tremendous help to us. So that's what we're really looking for, and we appreciate everyone that's involved right now so far.
And that's awesome, Derek and Steve, to bring that up. You guys, this is a great one today. Tell people to go back and like the Power of Purpose Facebook page, and this video will be on there. Let's create the buzz, man. Let's get people connected all over the place. Elizabeth has a great point about looking at the values and of the homes and how we're going to assess taxes. Can you imagine we get people in this country with all this different expertises that could be coming together? And also, you guys, for those of you that aren't part of it, many of our Mastermind students, and we gathered together in Albuquerque at the end of July, many of our Mastermind leaders are from the Houston area. That's where this started. It was like when we first started hearing about it, Natty was texting and calling and saying, "Are you guys okay?" And the devastation, the loss of hope that was so intense. And that's when we said, okay, it's time. And then Florida, we've got Pete and them with us, so you'll be hearing from them also. So our mastermind group is meeting. We meet live every quarter, and then we meet every single week on a webinar. So we're meeting live the end of September. So if any of you are interested, the mastermind is like the think tank that's coming together, and there's going to be focus on the rebuilding. So if you're interested in the mastermind, email info@thepowerofpurpose.com, and one of our purpose consultants will call you, because this is a time to bring this country together and share the power of the nonprofit corporation and what it can do in the rebuilding. So I wanted to put that out there. All the folks you see are part of our mentoring mastermind group. Richard, Corliss, Steve, Camilla, Elizabeth. So this group has taken that first step, and now they're taking action and we're implementing. So you guys, I want you guys to know that you're the spark that keeps our fire just burning. I mean, you're why we do what we do. And it's such an honor, such a blessing to have you in our lives, and together being able to do this. So when Camilla talks about the urgency, when Steve talks about assistants going to the hospital because of the breathing, because of and the smell, that we don't even think about things like that. We don't know the urgency. That's why launching our own funding campaign is going to happen real soon, so we could start deploying the funds. At the same time, we're working with federal government and Governor Huckabee and the Trump administration on how to maneuver the funding going to the local level. So I want you guys to know the urgency of us launching this so we can get those funds to you right away. And Derek, what for you bringing us all together and staying consistent, persistent, just gratitude for what, and thankfulness that we have the opportunity and we were brought together in each other's lives to really bring impact to those that need us right now.
Well, like we say, we're not one for believing in coincidences all that often, right? And having this wonderful mastermind with all these wonderful people and their amazing nonprofits across the country, and just a short matter later on, really stepping up to where people are just in such dire need and what we can do together. So I thank everyone that's on with us. You guys are the reason why we do what we do. And we're going to make a big impact, a big change, and you guys are just right there in the trenches. So just
And a special shout out to the Mastermind and mentoring students. Brenda, I see you on. You guys just together bring so much in what we're bringing forward. So again, just sharing gratitude, and it's not a direction we thought we'd go, but again, the power of purpose. You know, taking that and purpose now, leading in the rebuilding efforts.
Well, yes, thank you all again so much, and we look forward to again hearing more on this. As we know, we have our meetings on Mondays, so we're going to be devoting some time to that as well now. For those of you, again, because there's so many of you in the Texas, southeastern part of the country region really now, in addition to that. And then also everyone else that's on attending, one more time, please help us get the word out. You know, please get involved. The way you can get involved is just continue to follow us, follow the series, follow what our nonprofits are out there doing, their calls to action, how you can support them, how you can get involved. And we're going to be doing this in a much, much larger capacity. This is only just the beginning. We are in this for the long term to rebuild these communities with our nonprofits on the ground leading the way. So thank you all again so much. And we'll see you again next Friday, okay, for a continuing series on this. More to come. I think, again, to keep you guys engaged and involved really is we're going to be getting together a lot more on just continuous updates and notifications of situations on the ground, and also a lot of sharing pictures and videos on this. And again, by helping getting involved is just sharing this out there in the web sphere, right, to help us raise awareness and help get the aid we need to our nonprofits on the ground to make a difference and help people. So again, thank you all so much.
And Derek, I know we're wrapping up, but gosh, I just looked at the chat. And again, our mastermind, you guys, what an amazing group. Brenda in Illinois, we've been talking about, you know, work with folks with disabilities. She uses a wheelchair, just like I had the brain injury and proud of where we've come from. Brenda called the Houston Center for Independence. We talked about that on our call together, you guys, about let's look at the resources in Houston. Just because we're not there, we can still. She talked to him and says, wow, heartbreaking and topped with hope and opportunity. So now connecting with folks on the ground, even though you're not there. Rose from California, she has a plumbing crew that will go to Houston and help with those needs. So again, think of this nationwide and look what our mastermind students are doing from around the country to help bring resources. So Houston, Florida, Caribbean, we're going to move throughout each community at a time.
Yes, well,
I just had to say that. The chat is amazing.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again all so much. Thank you for being interactive. Thank you for engaging. Please stay tuned and continue to join us for more on this effort. And we will see you next time on Purpose Fridays at the same time, 3 Eastern, New Pacific, next week. So thank you all again so much. We'll see you next time. Have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.